Perhaps no industry is as synonymous with a state as coal mining is with West Virginia. In many communities, working the mines has long been part of the cultural fabric. But as senior contributor Ted Koppel reported during a recent visit, those jobs come at a price.
West Virginia, October. Friday night football. The Oak Hill Red Devils are hosting the Buchanan Buccaneers. Long before game time, the littlest fans, dressed to the teeth, are trotted out one by one by a succession of cheerleaders.
Her favorite person is her mom because she stands by my side no matter if life is good or bad.
When the cheerleaders crank up their own routine, a few veterans of the squad from a generation or two ago are discreetly keeping pace in the back row. In small-town America, Friday night football is a family event. And it remains a big deal. Zach Davis here, he's head coach for the Buccaneers.
Our kids, some are going to go to college and then go into some sort of professional career. A lot of them will go be a blue-collar worker, whether that's at Walmart or a local business or some sort of convenience store.
I notice you're not mentioning the mines. This is coal country right here.
Used to be. I think a couple of our kids I know of have been in the mines since I've been here, but not very many.
These kids who are out in the field right now, 20 years ago, half of them at least would have ended up in the mines.
That's a fact.
Today?
Today, no chance of going in a coal mine. I graduated high school on a Friday, Monday morning, I was in the coal mine. My dad worked the coal mine, my granddad worked the coal mine, my brothers worked the coal mine. Still is coal country, but not like it used to be.
Don Barrett used to be a miner.
23 years in the coal mine. Everybody was working, there was jobs everywhere, people buying new homes, new cars. Life was good.
That was the upside. Mining, of course, was always a dangerous job, and 1 in every 5 miners has for years ended up with black lung.
Black lung is a bad disease. I have problems with breathing, you have coughing, you just suffer to where you can't do the things that you used to do.
Kevin Winkle is taking what's called a pulmonary function test.
Big deep breath in, blast it out hard. Keep pushing.
It identifies just how badly impaired his lungs have become. The test confirms what he and respiratory therapist Lisa Emery already know.
Almost there. Big breath in. Suck in, suck in. Good. Take a break. And you can take your nose.
Kevin's black lung is so severe that he can no longer work in the mines.
Yeah, these things are tough.
What's different about Kevin is his age. Used to be black lung didn't force a man out of the mines until he was in his late 50s or 60s. Kevin is just 35. Kevin has been a coal miner almost half his life. There he was at age 18, suddenly making more money than he ever dreamed possible.
The first 6 months underground, at $12 an hour, made $76,000.
In 6 months?
In 6 months. That's how much I worked. Sometimes I wouldn't even go home. I'd go out and sleep in the parking lot, get back up and go back in. I was told that I'd break myself long before I broke the company, so I could work as much as I wanted.
I'm guessing there was a truck in your future there somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that the first thing you bought?
Yep, I went and bought a brand new F-250 diesel. You know, you grow up with little, so when you start making that kind of money,
Those were the good days.
Yeah. Yeah, those was the good days.
When did life start getting serious?
When my son was born. Then you look at stuff different.
How?
you really realize the dangers when you have something to live for instead of just yourself. It's something that you expect to get when you're old.
And you got black lung?
Complicated black lung.
What do they mean by complicated?
My lungs is turning to rock.
Kevin is just one of many young miners showing up at the New River Health Clinic.
This is a complicated pneumoconiosis, and so he has the worst form of black lung.
That's respiratory therapist Lisa Emery again.
Our rates of black lung in central Appalachia are skyrocketing.
Why is that, Lisa?
The miners are having higher exposure levels to silica dust.
You tell me if I'm oversimplifying it. They're having to drill through more rock to get to the coal.
Absolutely.
And the rock dust, paradoxically, is more damaging to the lungs, even than the coal dust is.
That's right. It's smaller, it's finer. It's a dust called silica dust.
This is the second of 3 public hearings that MSHA is holding on the proposed rule lowering miners' exposure to respirable crystalline silica.
MSHA, the Mines Safety and Health Administration, has proposed a new rule that would lower miners' exposure to that silica dust.
And I'm happy to see this included in the proposed rule.
In June, the U.S. House Appropriations Committee voted to kill the new rule. The bill has now advanced to all of Congress, where lawmakers have one more chance to save it.
It needs to be reinforced by MSHA and not by the coal companies.
We've already got the limits for black lung coal dust.
Right.
This is silica dust, which has been there present all the time, and it cuts your lungs.
William Boltz Willis retired from the coal industry years ago, but he's still in the union. In fact, he's president of United Mine Workers Local 8843. But this, in and of itself, is going to change nothing.
It may not, because there's no teeth in what they're doing to make the companies comply with this.
Coal mining isn't a bad job. I do love coal mining, but it doesn't have to be the way it is.
Roscoe, that's not his real name, is a working miner in his early 30s who fears that he already has black lung. The reason we're obscuring his identity is his contention that the mines routinely break the rules. What would happen if your name came out?
Probably never have a job in the coal industry again.
You serious?
100%.
Roscoe explains what happens when an inspector comes on mine property.
Everybody's crossing their T's and dotting their I's. Everything's done right. When we're underground and an inspector pulls up on that property, before he ever gets out of the vehicle, the dispatcher calls underground and lets every section know that there's an inspector on the property. So by the time the inspector comes up to the section, everything's right.
How many years has that been going on?
Well, it's been going on since I've been
forever, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They keep raising these dust laws and these ventilation laws for these coal companies, thinking that it's going to help this black lung matter, but it's not.
Because?
Because the laws that are in effect now would work if coal companies actually obeyed them and took care of their men full time instead of whenever there's just an inspector on the section.
The only thing that mining companies understand is money.
Sam Petzonk represents miners in their lawsuits seeking benefits for black lung. Coal companies rarely provide such benefits without being sued.
We are seeing many young miners, hundreds in this region where I practice law, as young as their 30s, losing over a quarter of their lung to pure rock dust. It's a crisis. We've never seen so many young miners with such short exposures becoming so extremely sick.
We contacted several mining trade associations. All declined the opportunity to comment. There's some kind of a gauge that measures...
A dust pump.
A dust pump that measures the dust in the air.
It takes in that dust and traps it in a filter.
Kevin Weichel explains how, he says, the mines stack the deck when it comes to testing for air quality.
Company pumps, you would keep them in clean air to make sure that they passed.
So really what the inspectors were seeing
was not a normal shift.
Was not a normal shift. If the inspectors had actually seen what the real reading was, what would the difference have been?
Significant.
And what would that have meant?
A lot of changes. I mean, in ventilation, they'd up the air required on each machine.
It would have been more expensive for the company?
Yeah, it would have been more expensive and a great loss of production.
You think that happens a lot?
I know it does. And anybody says it don't's lying.
The disease, as Kevin knows, is not reversible.
It's progressing, it will progress, whether I'm in the dust or not. It's still going to grow and lead to probably a lung transplant at some point in time.
If you're lucky.
If I'm lucky, yep.
Expensive?
Very.
Have you got any idea what it costs?
I don't.
Tens of thousands of dollars.
I'd say it's close to $1 million. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And the money is only part of the problem. There are also long wait lists and the prospect of moving to one of the limited locations where lung transplants are performed. The pressure only builds. Kevin says his wife has filed for divorce. She and the children have moved out. The coal company laid it out for Kevin half a lifetime ago. He'd break himself before he broke the company. And that's pretty much how it is.